Dean of Admission at Princeton, and we welcome you to our Google Hangout. This is for our QuestBridge matches. Congratulations to all 42 of you who received Happy News on December 1st. We are very excited that you're Tigers, and we wanted to give an opportunity to you to ask questions of a few of our students, but also we're going to just talk a little bit because we know not everybody can make it to tonight's session, and we want to have an archived copy so people can look at it later. With that in mind, we do have a few students joining us. We have Victoria David John, and we have Dallas Nan. If you received the invite, you know that Kevin Lopez was also included. Unfortunately, he could not join us tonight because he got called away by thesis research. He has an interview with one of his key people in his research. So he's going to be doing that. He promised if you have questions that he'd fill them via email, so you can get in touch with me then, and I can connect you. But in the meantime, I want our two students to introduce themselves. So I'm going to ask Dallas to start, but can you tell us a bit about your background and your path to Princeton? We'll start out that way and then we'll go into some more questions, but let's go with Dallas first.
Hi everyone, so I was born in Georgia and grew up in Boise, Idaho for the past 14 years. I love it. It's extremely beautiful. You can be in the city. Boise is about 250,000 people. And then, you know, in 10 minutes you can be in beautiful rolling foothills, and I love the dual nature of it. So college application process, had no clue what I was doing. Thank goodness QuestBridge was there, led me through pretty much every step of the way, and I ended up matching with Princeton, and I didn't know what that meant at all, so I wasn't that excited. It was just kind of an emotion of, okay, I'm doing this. What does this look like? But ever since being here as a senior, I can look back and say, wow, it's been a great ride. I'm a chemical and biological engineering major with certificates, kind of minors in sustainable energy and environmental studies, and I'm really interested in the way that we understand environmental technology influencing policy decision making. So I worked at the Department of Energy last summer, and that's really where my interests are sparked. But yes, do a lot of really cool things on campus too, but I'm sure we'll get into them soon. But yeah, it's great to meet all of you guys. Really excited to be here.
Great. Awesome. Thank you for that, and now we'll go ahead and go to Victoria.
All right. Hi, everyone. Congratulations. This is so exciting. I'm sure all of you are extremely psyched to become like Princeton Tigers. I am a freshman here at Princeton, and I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, but grew up in Puerto Rico to a mom who never went to college, but a dad who did. And my parents, my upbringing was like working at this produce stand like right outside our house, and being homeschooled. So like most of my 0 to 10 growing up was me teaching myself and like learning as much as I could from like textbooks and books that my parents gave me. So like kind of like Dallas, I had no idea what Princeton was. I had no idea that I could make it to a place like this. So being here is really, really cool. When I was 10, my dad got accepted to this law school in Virginia, so we moved over there, which was a really awesome like culture change. I had to learn English, which was crazy, but other than that, like I was like really encouraged to pursue science because that's something that doesn't happen in Puerto Rico, especially as a girl. They like always told me like, oh, make sure you know how to cook, but pursuing like NASA dreams, that was not a thing. But then I joined public high school, and then junior year I was taking pretty advanced classes, and I somehow got accepted to this program called MITES, which is this 6-week program at MIT, and it was a bunch of low-income, high-achieving students, and they sat us in a room. They were like, you can do this, you can make it to these like amazing colleges, you can get into Harvard, you can get into Princeton, you can get into MIT, you can get into Stanford. And that was like the first time I really thought about like trying to apply, and then I found out about QuestBridge, and ever since then, like my life has been like changed enormously, but I'm ever so happy to be here. And yeah, I am a BSc, kind of like Dallas. I'm thinking about being an engineering major, but I'm not completely sure what yet. I have the rest of the semester to decide. So hopefully I'll figure it out by then. And I'm also pursuing a pre-med track. So that's me right now.
Great, thank you guys so much. So I'd like to go ahead and have you guys both reflect on when you received your notifications about your admission to Princeton, and talk a little bit about those maybe initial emotions, and then the stages you started progressing through to make that decision. What were you worried about? How did you answer those questions related to your worries? And then, let's say on your first few days on campus, what was that experience like? Just to give a little more background on that.
Yeah, I can start. So when I got my Princeton decision, as I said, it was kind of a complete shock. I was at a debate tournament in Utah, and my mom was actually judging at the tournament too, so she happened to be there. But I'd gotten a call from a weird number, and I was heading into a round, so I just ignored it and went into it and did my debate round. But I came out and had a voice recording on my phone that said, "Dallas, I don't want to spoil the good news for you, but you should really check your email." And so I had known that it was good news. I just knew nothing about it. And so when I was able to check it later that night and see that it was Princeton, as I said, I was excited to get into somewhere, but I had absolutely no clue what it meant. You know, what this experience means. It's very hard to describe because it's so incredibly just. It's a huge experience to go through. So many things happen in your life. You know, you can explore the world. So when getting that news, I was happy, but I didn't accept it. I think I kind of wanted this sense of like, oh, like I'm gonna have options, even though I knew like Princeton was so generous with their package and with the decision, and I knew it wasn't really going to be anywhere else for me. But when I came for the exploration Princeton weekend, Princeton flew me out, and I got to see this place and be here, and just start to imagine myself here. I still at that time had no clue what it would actually look like being a student here. You know, the people I was staying with were going to New York and going to the bars, and it was very dynamic, that's for sure. But I still had no clue what I was doing. And when I got to when I started filling out the matriculation forms, which is basically anything from housing to financial aid stuff, I actually didn't have any internet at my house. So what I had to do was go to the library to fill out these forms. And it was really interesting because I'd just be sitting in the library, and you know, you would have to do your essays for freshman scholars applications and for the freshman seminars. And so I got really into thinking about all these things, and my first interaction with the university really, I think, was when I called and was like, so where, you know, how do we get bedding? Like, how does that work? You know, this was like 2 or 3 weeks before the start of classes, and they were like, you're supposed to bring that with you. And you know, I was like, I spent all of the money I had on the plane ticket. You know, I don't have any money left, and so I had to take out a $300 loan from Princeton, and that was a really interesting start to my Princeton career. But it set me up to be able to have the resources I needed to come here and to just start to understand what this experience was, what academia, what an academic institution was. It's a huge kind of image, but on the ground it's so complex, and all of the things you get to go through. But I just took the orientation week to get to explore campus and different clubs and different people. The dining halls are a great opportunity to do that. But yeah, in the very beginning, I did become a little introverted because it was this big, huge world, and so I needed time to just like process everything. But it's healthy to have that balance of introspection and really being engaged with the new community that you're joining, that you're going to be a part of for the next 4 years. But yeah, I would say that's how my Princeton career started. I didn't really have the financial resources that I needed on the transition, and I don't know, maybe I should have anticipated that better, but I was able to reach out to the university, which has an incredible amount of resources, and they were able to set me up for success, I think, with all of the resources that I was provided. But yeah, you definitely have to understand the university. You have to embrace it, because you want to be able to find the resources that you need. And for someone like me, I really did need the resources, and I was able to kind of navigate finding them. But you definitely have to be proactive about doing that. Yeah.
And before Victoria comes on, I wanted to make sure that our prospective students do know that there's been a little bit of change with the way students' aid is dispersed as they're coming to campus, in that we've begun to think about, to Dallas's point, that there's startup money that you might need to buy bedding, to buy shampoo, so that you aren't sending it in the mail to you. And so there's talk of having a startup stipend for students who are on financial aid, so that they don't have to worry about where the money's going to come from anymore. So that is something we're excited about and rolling out. Now, Victoria, I think you did the Freshman Scholars Institute as your kind of entry point into Princeton. So maybe you can add that into how that impacted your experience. And I don't know if we mentioned it, Victoria is a freshman this year, and Dallas is a senior. So we have kind of the bookends of the Princeton experience for you guys tonight. Victoria, will you go ahead?
Sure. Okay, so when I found out, I was in the car coming back from school. The decision came out. It was supposed to come out at 4, and I checked my email at 4, and there was nothing, and I was like flipping out. And my dad was driving back, and I get this email, and it's from QuestBridge, and I don't tell my dad anything whatsoever. I just secretly open it in my lap. And I open the email and I click on the link, and there it says, "Congratulations, you've been matched to Princeton." I let out a screech. My dad slams on the brakes, and he's like, "What happened? What's going on? What's going on?" I was like, I just got into Princeton. So that was a huge deal. I was riding a high for a good 2 or 3 months. That sense of joy and happiness did not go away. To have the the admission offer was right in my hands. To have that in front of me was just such a validation of all the work that I had put in. So my mom cried for ages. My dad was just constantly just so happy around the house. It was just such a great moment. Being accepted, knowing that I was gonna be able to go to college, knowing that my college was gonna be paid for, that was just such a huge relief, such a burden off of our shoulders. So that in itself was such a good start to my Princeton career. Kind of like Dallas, I wanted, now that I was in Princeton, I kind of wanted to know what was possible. So I also didn't say yes right away. I was I've gotten this far. I don't know what else is possible. I just want to know. My mom always told me, you miss the shots you don't take. So I wanted to explore my options. I ended up getting accepted to Stanford, which was kind of crazy. So my decision to be able to come into Princeton, and this is something that I'm sure most QuestBridge students are faced with, because you are all amazing students. I know that you've done spectacular things for Princeton to have accepted you. You are blowing it out of the water already. And so I know that you are probably going to be faced with this decision to have to decide between a Princeton and another college, or maybe 2 other colleges, maybe 3 other colleges. And so that was a really stressful time. I came to Princeton Preview right after I'd gone to Stanford's Admit Weekend. So I'd gone to Stanford's Admit Weekend on May 24th, flew back for my prom, and then flew to Princeton for Princeton Preview. And that was such a whirlwind kind of weekend because you have to make a decision by May 1st. But I ended up choosing Princeton. I love the campus. I love the community. It's so tight knit. Everyone really just kind of knows each other. Everyone's so willing to say hi. Like everything is walking distance. Like it's just such a nice feeling just to be on campus. And that's like when I stepped on, I knew that it was going to be kind of like trying on a wedding dress for us girls out there. Like once you put it on, you know that it's the right fit. That was kind of like coming to Princeton. Like that was the experience that I felt. I chose to Princeton, and then it kind of started to sink in that I was gonna go to college and I was gonna have to like live on my own. I was gonna have to like find food. Like that was a lot of like my friends were like, oh, let's look at this bedding on Pinterest, and like, oh, let's look at like what kind of dorm decor are you looking for? And I was like, how am I going to get there? I was lucky enough to have an outside scholarship, so I'm also a Jack Kent Cooke scholar. But I was also I used that outside money to buy bedding, but like Sonia mentioned, I was invited to come to this Freshman Scholars Institute, which I really had no idea what it was, but it was kind of like promoted as a, how do I describe it? Kind of like an entryway to Princeton, right? A kind of a head start. During the summer, you come here in July, and you take 2 classes for credit along with around 70 other students. And you all stay in one dorm. And so that was really, really nice because like somewhat like what Sonia mentioned, the startup stipend that Princeton is trying to start, FSI, as we call it, had a kind of stipend for us. It had a travel stipend, and it also had a $350 stipend. And so I used that to buy the food that I needed. I used that to buy bedding. I used that to buy like lotion and shampoo because I came to college with like literally $20 in my pocket. And I was like, I'm gonna have to make this last. I know they have dining hall meals, so that's all I really need. And so as soon as I received that stipend, I was able to get the things that most students already came with. So that was really, really awesome. And so FSI is this program kind of for first-gen, low-income, high-achieving students. So basically all of you guys. And it is this amazing, supportive group of faculty who have given up their summer to come teach like us, and this is like world-renowned faculty. Like I was taught what acceleration was by Claire Gamakel and Andrew Hauk. Andrew Hauk was the valedictorian of his class as an engineering student, and Claire Gamakel has won the MacArthur Prize, has won like these are like amazing professors who wanted to come and teach us like what these simple concepts were. And it was just like, it was such an amazing introduction to Princeton. They had meetings for us that would tell us, okay, this is what it's going to be like coming into Princeton as a minority, as a female, as an engineer. They had all kinds of, we had weekly colloquiums where faculty would come and talk to us as talking about their experiences in Princeton as faculty, as previous students. So me coming, I didn't really have that much time to worry. Like Sonia, you asked like what were my worries. I didn't really have that much time to worry because as soon as I was out of school, I was into Princeton and I was taking classes, and like it was hard. Like I won't lie to you, but I think just having 70 other students, and this is going to be the cool thing, like having students around you that care about school, that care about learning, that really want to learn, really want to pursue their passions, that is priceless. Like that is not something that I found in my high school, and that's something that I've always wanted. And like being able to come here and like I always get excited when I hear like passionate conversations. Like I really don't like history, but if someone's talking about history and is being really passionate about it, like I'll like history too. So like seeing that and like being around people who had so many different like interests, so many different like experiences, the coolest stories you'll ever hear. Like it was just such an amazing introduction to Princeton that I just could not be happier to be here. I definitely think that worries were assuaged like once you get on campus. Like it's definitely like you have a lot of time to freak out if you stay home during the summer. You have 3 months of it, and so you'll like look. I definitely looked on like College Confidential, like what do Princeton students wear, because my wardrobe during high school was comprised of jeans and a t-shirt, and like all of my friends were like, don't they dress like really preppily in Princeton? Like you're gonna have to wear like J. Crew and Lilly Pulitzer and like all of these brands, and I was like, what? Like what have I gotten myself into? But everyone's a human here. Like you really get adjusted to it. You come on campus, everyone's wearing shorts and t-shirts because they're moving in, and you really like find your place here. Like I promise it's gonna happen. You're gonna hear this over and over and over again, but like you will find your niche, and it's amazing when you do. So yeah.
And one of the things to know that sometimes we joke about on campus too, you can get plenty of free T-shirts at Princeton.
So true. So true.
There are jokes, you can make it to senior year and never buy a Princeton T-shirt, but you will have a whole drawer full of them. But to Victoria's point about the Freshman Scholars Institute, that's a summer program for several weeks. I think it's 6 or 7 weeks. Victoria, okay. And a colleague of mine runs that, Christina Gonzalez, and she is one of the associate deans of the college. And she actually has an interest in being in touch with some of you guys already. That is, she actually wants to be in touch with all 42 of you. So you may be hearing from her soon. In the past, we haven't sent out those invites until May, but she wants to be a little more proactive. So if you hear from her, it's all good. But her or her colleague Nimisha might be in touch in the coming weeks. And it is a great opportunity, and it's paid for. That's another nice piece. The other thing is, one of you, I can't remember if maybe both of you mentioned it, was Princeton Preview. And coming to campus in April and seeing this great place. And for this upcoming preview, you'll be able to stay overnight in the dorm. And, I don't know, maybe Dallas, maybe Victoria could be your dorm host. Not for all 42. But I know in your initial letter from us, we mentioned that Princeton will pay for your travel to campus for Princeton Preview. And a few of you have emailed me with questions about that. I want you to know at the end of January, beginning of February, you'll get an email from a colleague of mine about how that works. And we usually book it through a travel agent. You don't have upfront costs. You don't have to pay for it. We pay for it. And so we'll get you out here for Princeton Preview. But just stay tuned and know that's in the mix. So it's something to get excited about. So we do have a question that, let's see, has been sitting there for a while, but we're doing introductions. So tell me, you guys, what do you do for fun at Princeton? Come on, do you have fun?
I can start.
Yeah.
It is possible. It is not all work here. We definitely play, and we play hard. So I got into theater my senior year of high school. And I decided that I really liked the community that it brought, because when you're in a play and you spend like countless hours doing tech for the show, rehearsing for the show, you get really close to the people that are in the show and also in the tech theater. So I was like, this seems like a really good way to branch out, to find people who are interested in the same things as I am. And so I auditioned for a play out of nowhere. I had never actually acted before. I had only done musicals before, which is a different kind of thing. And somehow I got the lead in the role in the play, and that was like one of the best experiences. Like working, and it's also like working long hours, but like it's so much fun. Like for me, theater is one of the greatest things on earth. You get to connect with people. You get to like make an art form. And so that's like my like fun thing to do on campus, even though it seems like a lot of work. And so in addition to theater, I also play the violin. I've played the violin since I was 3. And so I auditioned for multiple pit orchestras around campus, so like still in the theater branch, but I get to play for multiple plays around here. And any musicals that are going on, I also do that. And then something new, when I was in high school, I did public speaking, known as speech and debate, and I did oratory, but I was the co-captain my senior year of high school, and I really admired the people who did poetry in my team, and I would coach them, but I was never really able to, like, I would stick to my category because I'm a very, like, once I find something that I really like, I kind of stick to it. And so I was like, hey, it's college, you know, like it's a time to try new things. So I auditioned for Ellipses, which is the oldest slam poetry team on campus, and I got in. And so I do slam poetry, which is really awesome. You get to talk about the things you really care about. You get to talk about things that bother you, and you get to perform in places around campus, and people come and they snap. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's me around campus.
Awesome. Yeah, there are just innumerable number of things to do on campus. Some of my favorites include going to the free movie every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. The university rents out a theater for us, and you just show up and get free popcorn and soda, and they have movies playing. We saw Pitch Perfect, I think, even before it came out, like on general theaters. Like, it's really cool. I'm a big movie buff. I love when people can create this like world and you just step into it. I also love playing tennis and badminton, and you can do both on campus, which tennis I expected, but I didn't know there would be a badminton club, which is awesome. Yeah, I also love going to the gym. Yeah, there's a ton of things to do on campus, and a lot of them you can move into also doing like fun scholarly things, if you will, like having conversations with like world-renowned people about interesting topics. So the energy table on campus brings together like different like the president of the Sustainable Energy Center on campus in to talk about nuclear fusion and nuclear fission, which as like a energy and science guy makes me really happy. Like, I really am interested by that. So like we have dinner discussions. So there's always something really lively going on, and I'll do something like that where that's my stuff, like energy, and then the next day I'll go to like a French professor who just published a new book of essays, and I'll just participate in that discussion and read that and get really, really interested in it. But there's just an incredible amount of stuff to do, and there will never be enough time to do everything you want to do, but you gotta make sure that you're balancing everything, and it's definitely a juggling act and will come with time. But making sure there's time for yourself, making sure you're not like, I remember, at one point it was during finals or something, and I had like just this like I had like athlete's foot or something, and I like didn't do anything about it because I was so busy with work. But you have to take care of yourself at times. But yeah, lots of fun things to do on campus. Definitely not a place where people just work.
Yeah, and if I can interject, like, I think the number is that we have 300 student groups on campus, which is just like mind-blowing. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's a lot. So you will definitely find the club or the group that talks about like what you are interested in. Like, I promise it's here, and if it's not here, you can create it. Like, Princeton is just like the place to just start up things, or to find things or find people that are interested in the same things that you are. And you're going to have so much fun doing it. Like, oh my God, it's so great. I really love it.
Well, thanks, guys, and maybe we'll touch on this in a little bit too. But there's also lots that you're doing in the dorm. There's in the residential colleges a lot of community building that happens through there, and larger activities that happen that are based on your class. The class of 2019 is coming together, or residential colleges are coming together. There's skate night down at the ice skating rink. But I want to get to some of the other questions. One that I just want to address quickly because it came up as we were finishing the last question, going into the next one, is we have Dylan. Hey, Dylan, I saw one of your feeds that was adorable with a picture of you. Anyway, admission officers, we get so excited about things like that when we start seeing pictures of you and messages because we're like, oh, I remember your file. Anyway, he asked, are QuestBridge students very likely to be candidates for the Freshman Scholars Institute, so that summer program that we talked about? And they are. We actually really want to try and encourage that. The hard thing is we only have so many spots for our Freshman Scholars Institute. It's usually like 70 to 90 students, and we've tried to grow it. And Christina Gonzalez is trying to do it where if we can't have you on campus, that we might have some remote programs. And then we're also building out four-year leadership programs now. So regardless of whether you come in the summer, that there's going to be programming throughout the school year too. So that's the up and coming that we're excited about. So let me then get to another question that we have from Maria. She's asking about work study. And are you guys on work study, Dallas and Victoria?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about how you found your work study position, and if you've had different ones over the year, I guess, for you, Dallas, and go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. No, I think work study is a concept I have a really interesting relationship with. I love the opportunity to engage in an activity that's going to help you professionally, that's going to kind of give you a sense of the office workspace or the network that evolves once you start working somewhere and become part of a system that all has a central goal they're working towards. So I came on campus and I was like, okay, work, study, job, I need it now. Like the money has to start rolling in. So I was like, okay, even before I got to campus, I was reading, all the job postings and applying to them, and I applied to like 12 or something because they're very, very short. It's pretty much like, can lift 50 pounds, can, speak Spanish, and it has all these specifications, and you're like, yeah, okay. So you send those off, and then I got an email back about this position in the mechanical and aerospace engineering office, their undergraduate office. There's kind of the contact person for juniors and seniors as they're going through their independent work and all of the qualifications to make sure that they're, getting their degree progress over time. So I worked in that office helping out with different projects, different kind of lunch meetings, and kind of assisted the office in whatever the way they needed. And the relationship that I formed with my employer, Joanne Krupelak-Love, is just an incredible mentorship for me on campus. I've known her since the very, very beginning, so I can have lunch with her my senior year and look back and she can say, wow, you've grown and matured and, evolved into such an incredibly cool person. And you have that longevity of being with this person. I actually worked with her only for 2 years because after the second year, the job actually got so demanding that they needed to hire someone to actually do the job I was doing. And so I was like, oh, where's the money going to come from now? So that was, again, placed me in the I need to get this worked out, and you work it out. And so I actually had learned that the place in which I was volunteering, it's called Community House After School Academy. It's kind of a mentorship tutoring program for 6th to 8th grade students every day from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock and Monday through Thursday. And I would volunteer there because my first job after my first year here was to build a STEM summer science camp for local students, and it was these students who attend this program. And so I did that over the summer and loved it, and love everything about the process where you can help someone understand something and you see when it clicks in their mind and they're like, they get excited about being able to understand it. I love that moment, but I wanted to spend more time with them, and so I started volunteering my sophomore year. And when I had to find a new job at the beginning of my junior year, I actually found out that for the volunteering job the volunteering I was doing, that was actually a work study job. And so I could volunteer and get paid for my volunteering. So it was like two birds with one stone. And at Princeton, when you have no time to do anything because you're doing everything, you make things work, and that was really nice for me, where I can volunteer and be with students and enjoy that process, but also get paid for it and not have to worry about my income and stuff like that. So yeah, I ended up being the leader of that program and getting really cool skills and managing volunteers and seeing how that system works and trying to define the values for the system. And I get really interested about kind of bigger picture organization ideas. But that was part of the process of me coming to understand what I wanted to do and being excited about doing it. So now I'm not the program leader anymore, but I still do that for my work, and it's really, really nice. It's $15 an hour, which is better than all minimum wages, practically. And so you really do. Your time is valued, even though this is where my tension with work study comes in. Even though you have to put in maybe 10 to 15 hours a week working for income that some of your peers don't have to do because they have kind of the wealth to be able to not do that. Those 10 to 15 hours, I think, build you as a person. And so in the end, I think it's really, really helpful. That experience is going to be helpful. But in some thought process, you could say, well, what could you do with the extra 10 to 15 hours a week? I love what I do, so that's never really crosses my mind. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, a positive investment into your education. They ask you to help the institution in some way to get more income in your pocket and security. So it works out really well. I've had nothing but positive experiences with it.
All right, so let's get to another question that's about food. You got to eat, right? So we have a question that came in that's really asking, what's the meal plan like? Is the food good? Where's the best place to eat on campus? And then we also have another question that is folded in completely is, well, what are the eating clubs like? So let's see, how about we start with Victoria of just talking about the meal plans in the residential colleges and how you've navigated that, if you found places with particularly good food. And then we can evolve in kind of the four-year process and talk about eating clubs and how there are opportunities to eat there and what are the pluses and minuses for that.
Cool. Okay, so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that as QuestBridge students, we are able to enroll in the unlimited meal plan. At least that was my case for my package. So I don't know the rest of the options, and maybe Sonia, you could talk more about that. But as far as the unlimited meal plan, it means that you have you get this card when you come to campus. This is your prox, and this is what gets you in everywhere. So you will lose it once, and then you will never lose it again unless you are me, and then you'll lose it another 3 times. But this is what you use to swipe into meal plans, into your dining halls, and you can eat at any dining hall on campus. There's one located at Forbes, there's one located at Whitman, and they're right next to the residential colleges. There's the Wu Dining Hall, which is the joint dining hall for Wilson and Butler, and then there is the Rocky Mattey Dining Hall for the Rocky College and the Mattey College. And any student can eat anywhere on campus if they are on the university meal plan. And you can look at the menu, which I just found out really recently. So you can look at the menu for each dining hall and decide where you want to go eat. And I don't know, maybe this is all relative, but I think the food is pretty amazing. They have everything from Indian food to chicken pot pie to really good apple pie. This, oh my gosh. And I'm partial to Forbes because I live in Forbes. And Sunday brunch in Forbes is incredible. Maybe other people will disagree with me, but I think it's absolutely amazing. We have a chocolate fountain and baked brie and all kinds of things that you would see in a restaurant, and it's all laid out for you to feast on. So I think, as far as the places on campus that are better to eat at, I'm sure that it varies daily, and I'm sure that it varies to your taste buds, but you can just check and then decide where to go eat. Usually people will eat to the dining hall that's closest to them, which is smart because then you don't have to walk as far. But either way, wherever you do choose to eat, it's going to be amazing food. Like, it's all cooked well, and the chefs here are incredible. And also, like, you get to really know the dining hall staff. Like, I'm like Leslie in Forbes Kitchen and John. Like, I always say hi to them, and they always know what I come for because I always get like the ham and cheese omelet. And like, I walk up and they're like, "Hey, ham and cheese," and I'm like, "You got it." Like, you really get to like develop some kind of like a relationship with the staff here, which is like the best. Like, I couldn't ask for anything more. So.
And your meal plan also gets you, in terms of the flexibility of it, you can eat also at the Center for Jewish Life, which has a kosher kitchen. And you don't have to be Jewish to eat there. You just need that meal card. And do you guys know, you can use it in Frist, too, in the bottom level of Frist?
Late meal is amazing. It's so good. So Frist Campus Center is the center of campus. It's where McGraw Tutoring Center is, which is where you go to get help if you're struggling in a certain class or if just to do homework. It also has it has the Frist Theater, which is where some shows are located. It has the Frist Ticket Office, which is where you get your tickets to all the amazing events on campus. And then in the bottom floor, there is this beautiful thing called Late Meal. And it's from 2 to 4, I think, right? 2 to 4 and 8 to 10, or 8:30 to 10. So if you miss dinner or miss lunch, or you just want to eat more like me, you go to Frist and you have your choices of like these amazing burgers, like burrito bowls, taco bowls, tacos, salads made to order, like slices of pizza that you can't hold in 2 hands. Like, it's amazing food, and it is right in the center of campus, and you will love it. Like, people live for it. Seniors who are not on the unlimited meal plan or are not in the meal plan will beg freshmen and sophomores for their late meal. Like, it just happens. It's that good. It's amazing.
So I'm going to put another question up, although we're still with the topic of food here, because Dallas, the next question is, oops, I put up the wrong one. Sorry, I don't know how to do. We'll come back to you, Maria, about snow and winter, I swear. I'm just not very good with Google Hangout. But about eating clubs. And eating clubs, it's a dining option that becomes available to you for the junior and senior year. So Dallas, maybe you can explain it, and then you can talk about whether you decide to join or not to join, by way of just giving a little more background on food. And then I swear we'll get back to winter. We will.
Sounds good. So yeah, eating clubs are basically a big mansion with kind of the first floor is the dining area. So you'll have tables, you'll have maybe a nice place to sit, and then the second floor is a bunch of rooms. You know, they have pool tables and theaters and libraries, and then the top floor are officer dorms. And so it's basically a place you can opt into to eat your 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they throw parties there on the weekends. And it's kind of a huge part of the Princeton social life is being able to go to those parties. And so half of them, if you want to join them, you could just say, I want to join, and you can be right into them. And the other half, you have to kind of go through a selection process with the members. But it's really all about the different communities that develop. It's really nice that people can kind of there's certain themes. You know, there's not one person that joins any of them, but there's certain themes that people look for, or that when you go out and some night and you find people that are enjoyable to hang out with, and then you explore it more, and you might really fit into one. And so when I was thinking about it, it is a large monetary commitment, and the university gives you a ton of money in order to be able to accommodate for it, $2,000 extra moving into your junior year. And so I was thinking to myself, should I join one? Is it something I should do? And I had found that there's one called Terrace, which has delicious food, and all of my friends were joining, and it is a very relaxing atmosphere. They have the best music on the street, and so it all kind of fit in really well for me. And so I ended up joining Terrace the end of my sophomore year. You get sophomore meals. But I would go there and hang out with friends, and I also was started as a Terran as well my junior year, but by the end of the year I had decided that I wanted to go independent, and so I had determined that it was a huge financial piece for me, and I was kind of I wasn't as close to the people I was with when I started it, and so it just made sense for me to kind of think that I could sculpt my own eating routine, and it would be more accommodating to my schedule, because there are more limited windows where you can get food, and you can always take it out and stuff, but I have a crazy schedule sometimes with everything that I'm doing. So yeah, I ended up being independent, and when you're independent, what the university does is give you all the money that they would have given you for food, and you can use that then to buy food. And there's a lot of ways to get to grocery stores nearby through bus routes that come through campus and are free with your procs. And there's lots of stores on campus with stuff as well. And so it was working out really well. And then at the beginning of this year, I stepped into the fourth eating option. So I've been through all four of them. My friend said, come have a meal at the International Food Co-op with me. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. So I ended up going, and they didn't even have to convince me. I walked in and it was like, this is so cool. There's a kitchen, there's a nice dining room, there's tons of breakfast and lunch foods for you to make your own breakfast and lunch, and then there's a hot dinner prepared every night. So we each take turns cooking, and I love to cook, and so that to me, it's not like a burden to have to make my own dinner, but it's like fun for me to cook once a week for people. And so I've loved being a part of that, because Princeton can get really crazy sometimes, and you don't have a lot of time. So knowing that you're going to have this community just every night eating with them at dinner it's a great feeling to just to have those friends and to grow those relationships without thinking too hard about it. And the eating clubs provided that as well. But they do have the kind of drinking scene as well, so those are more coupled experiences. My eating, like my co-op is kind of just dinner. We get together, and sometimes, like, I know a bunch of them went to the skate night last night together. I unfortunately didn't because I was exhausted and had my final exam this morning. But I know they had a great time. So yeah, and the food all along the way has been really delicious. The eating clubs tend to have even higher quality of food because, one, you're paying more, and two, they're not having to make as much. And so they can kind of make it more special with special flavors, and they can be a bit more creative. And when I was independent, I would make like really yummy gyros, and now we cook together in my co-op, and we can request any ingredients we want to. So basically, I just, like, whatever I want to eat, I order and we eat it. So it's great, and that's only $400 a semester. And so I'm saving like a ton of money, which is just very nice, that I feel like this strong sense of financial security for like the first time in my life. So like, yeah, it's great.
Great. So now let's get to weather. And I do want to thank Daniel and Seth for those last two questions, that we could talk a little bit about food. But now to Maria's question, who says she's from Florida. She hasn't lived in a place with snow before, and we do occasionally get some snow in New Jersey. So if the two of you can talk about, well, I don't know, I guess in Boise you have had a little bit of snow before you came out here. But talk about, well, what do Princeton students, or how do they manage the weather? Walking to class, do you have heat in your dorms? That kind of thing. Let's assure our QuestBridge matches that even if you're coming from California or Florida or Arizona, you can be warm at the Princeton campus.
It's true. So I'm from Puerto Rico, like I mentioned before. So anything below like 63 is freezing. And I had to decide between Stanford and Princeton, like I mentioned. So the weather was like a huge deal, and this was a question I also had. So yes, definitely, Maria, thank you. It is manageable. what you have to do is get a lot of layers. So yesterday, I think, no, 2 days ago, it just randomly, and this winter has been ridiculously like radical in its temperatures. Like it was 70 during Christmas, and like suddenly it's like in the tens. So it's very weird for me coming to my first Princeton, New Jersey winter. But something that's really, really cool, and this is linked to the FSI program, but like how Sonia mentioned, what Sonia mentioned was that there is this extension, this 4-year SIFP program, which is the Scholars Institute Fellows program, that if you didn't get a chance to come to FSI, you applied to the Scholars Institute Fellows program, and it's this one-page application, like very, very easy. You get in, and you get access to all these cool events, but you also get access to the coat drive, which is really cool. USG puts on this coat drive, and you can go to Campus Club, which used to be an eating club, but is now just owned by the university. And that's where it's usually, that's where the university usually gives out coats to anybody who does not have like coats, and these are really nice coats. Like they are like name brand coats. Like I went into Campus Club, and there was a Patagonia, and there was like a Columbia coat, and I was like, what are these doing here? Like I was expecting like, you know, like thrift store jackets or whatnot, or like things that I could just grab and like put on as layers, but like really awesome coats. So like the university helps you, first of all. Second of all, as long as you layer, you are fine. You are like toasty. Sometimes you like might even be a little bit sweaty. Like it's kind of strange because it's like really hot, like cold outside, but you're like really warm. So like when you step into like a really hot place, you're like, oh, I'm so hot. Like, but it's definitely possible. You just have to check the weather every day. Like it's gonna be something that you get used to. Like one time I definitely didn't check the weather. And it was in the 20s, and I stepped out and I was like, oh, it is brick outside. So I had to go back in and change my clothing. But as soon as you get hit by that cold shower, you'll get used to checking the weather, and you just buy coats, buy leggings, buy lots of them, and then you just layer a lot. You put a shirt, like you put a tank top and then a shirt and then a cardigan and then a jacket, or a vest and then a jacket, and you walk around looking like marshmallows, but everyone looks like marshmallows, so it's cute. So yeah, it's manageable for sure.
Any tips from you, Dallas, on weather?
Waterproof boots. Boots are key. Yeah, and an umbrella. I always think like, oh, you know, my jacket is nice and waterproof, but like, don't allow your jacket to do the work. Just like buy a really nice sturdy umbrella. I bought one at the U store, the Princeton University U store, which has tons of stuff, but a nice wooden one, and it's like sporting Princeton colors and stuff. But I love it. It works really well. Yeah, just good boots and gloves too. At times you'll want to just I still haven't mastered it, trust me, but at times you want to just cover your entire body in a thin layer because what's cold is like the wind hitting your body, and at times you'll want to layer because it's just like bone chilling cold. So like you have to master like, oh, thin layers all over, but like getting gloves. Yeah, it's a fun game, and sometimes you're walking through, like I would be walking on the sidewalk, and they would only plow the sidewalk. This was a couple years ago when there was like a blizzard, but you'd be walking next to like 2 or 3 feet of snow, and you'd be like, okay, this is normal, just going to class. But it can be an adventure. My freshman year was actually Hurricane Sandy, and so and there was a blizzard that year too, just crazy weather events, and that was the first time I had ever been in anything, and I stepped out of my dorm and like saw trees flying, so I'm like, nope. The university, being so well endowed, actually had its own source of power generation, and so while everything else was out around us, we actually had power because the university has those resources. And if they say, we're going to take you from your nice, safe homes and bring you to Princeton, we're going to supply for you. They've got all the energy we could ever need, even if there is a hurricane. But yeah, it's definitely been crazy weather-wise to be able to experience those. And like Victoria was saying about this year, it's been crazy warm right before we left. There was no snow before we left, and I was so surprised because I actually I had a bet with my friend last year that we wouldn't see snow in April, and I definitely lost that bet. And there were still little snow piles on the ground. It was a cold year, but yeah, you can easily overcome it with the right gear.
Yeah, and I think it was only yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before where we had our first snowfall? And it was just just minuscule little, like, I think that's snow on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a warm year. The other thing to note, because I'm kind of closer to Victoria in the sense that if it's below 63, I've got a down coat on. But for me, it's more like if it's below 75, I'm cold, and everybody in my office teases me for it. But that you should know, New Jersey, in the grand scheme of things for winter, really isn't that bad. I have lived in some other places where winter is tough. So we get snowfall, you get blue skies, clear days, and sun comes out. So you get a nice variety. It's not a depressing gray winter where you're like, oh my God. You have moments, the snow falls, and you're like, oh gosh, it's so beautiful. And so I don't know if I mentioned I'm from California. I say that a lot. Where I go, oh, I'm always excited about snow. I've lived in Princeton for a while, but whenever it snows, I'm like, yay, it's snowing, let's go play. And people are like, how old are you? And I say, let's not talk about that. I realize it's actually past 8. Let's maybe wrap up with just a few, I guess, tips from Victoria and Dallas to say, we have 42 QuestBridge matches. They have been admitted to Princeton. What should they be thinking about? Why should they choose Princeton? And let's go with that.
Mm-hmm. Dallas, you want to start?
I do. Okay. As a senior, I cannot emphasize enough to you how infinitely different your life is going to be in 4 years when you choose Princeton. I had grown up most of my life in Boise, Idaho, in this very small, suburban, very white town, and I wanted more. I wanted to experience more. I wanted to learn more. I learned a lot through the television. I had ADHD as a child, and so it was harder for me to read, but being able to watch TV, I learned so much through PBS and the Discovery Channel and stuff like that. And when I got to Princeton, it was an insanely different world than I was used to. I wasn't used to this wealth. My freshman year roommate when I got here was actually Andrew Christie, who's Chris Christie's son, the governor of New Jersey. And so I walk in and I'm like, okay, like now I know the governor of New Jersey, and he's a good family friend, like now. And so there's these crazy things you would never expect to happen. Like I said, I had not really ventured far out of the limits of Boise, and now I've been to 7 different countries internationally: China, Peru, Italy, the Philippines, Cambodia, Singapore, Canada, and those experiences are so invaluable. Like learning about those cultures and experiencing their food and just being able to step out of your perceptions. I had lived kind of in a low-income environment for a lot of my childhood, and when I went to Peru, it was my second time being out of the country. My first going to Italy, but going to Peru, I saw what life was like with much less resources than I was used to, and I had always thought, I had the lowest end of the stick, but it was actually incredibly surprising how happy people were with little resources, and so those things complicate your understanding of the world. We may think something of the world, but really it's much different. And when I went to China, I can't even tell you how different that was, based on my preconceptions. But yeah, it will give you the opportunity to explore the world like you've never explored it before. My family still hasn't visited Princeton, and I'm a senior, and they won't visit until graduation. But when they do come on campus at graduation, what I'm going to be able to do is walk them through this campus and point out every place along the 4 years that I've done stuff and met people, and all of these experiences are going to come rushing out. And I know that's going to be the time where it's like I want to write a novel on just like, these are the hundreds upon hundreds of different experiences you're going to have with amazing people. And if you put yourself out there, if you want to take advantage of this community and all it's got to offer, and I think the admissions department does a fantastic job of bringing together an incredible amount of diversity of opinion and perspective, and that's like been my goal, is to just learn from people. I've enjoyed learning from people more than I've enjoyed learning from the classroom, and I love learning that about myself. I love what I do in the classroom, but it's the people that really get me going, that I want to understand, and if I can do something about it, I want to make them happier, because that's what I like. I like when people are happy. And so being at Princeton, I get to be around people I never would have been around, and my network expands so much more. And when I say network, it's not any like professional way. It's the relationships you have with people and their interests and their interest in you. I have countless new mentors and people around me, and it's going to be crazy different. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be, I'm still uncertain about what I'm going to be doing next year. I might be in China in Princeton in Asia, a fellowship I applied to. I'm in the last, round of interviewing for that, but the experiences are incredible, and we now have, through this kind of offer that Princeton has made to you, you now have the opportunity to accept that, and I think it would be a shame not to take this opportunity and realize it. I'm really, really glad I did, and I had, I knew it was going to be different and hard. I never knew it was going to be this hard, but I never also knew it was going to be this amazing and incredible. And it's an insane experience, and I know you're going to love it. I know you're going to love it. It's gonna challenge you as a person, and you're going to grow immensely from that. And you're going to grow immensely in love with the world and everything in it, I think.
Okay, so I'm only a freshman, as mentioned like at least 3 times already, but okay, so as seniors in high school right now, the thing that you should be doing, I think, at least personally, is reaching out to Princeton, especially Princeton faculty. So when I was going through the college decision process, and I talk about having to choose between Stanford and Princeton because those were my top 2 choices, but I had my variety of colleges to choose from. And one thing that I did do, I started emailing faculty because I was really interested in doing research. And I wanted to know what were the opportunities here, like in these colleges, like how early can I start research? How early can I find an internship? I was like a really overeager, like tiny little freshman, like, oh my god, what can I do? So I started talking, or I started emailing, started putting my name out there, and so I emailed, one of the people I emailed here in Princeton was the chair of the computer science department, because I had gone to a Harvey Mudd conference where I met the president there, and she said, you have to go to this conference called the Grace Hopper Conference. This is a little bit of an anecdote, but I promise it's related. She says, this is a conference, like, even if you don't really know anything about computer science, even if you don't know if you want to do computer science, even if you haven't taken a class in computer science, just go, meet the people, meet the companies, network, like, make some connections. This is a place you want to go. And I was like, all right, this sounds cool. So I emailed the chair of the computer science department, because I was this, like, gutsy like senior, and I was like, hi, my name is Victoria. I hadn't even committed to Princeton. Like, this was me as a senior in high school. Like, I had no standing whatsoever in the Princeton community. There's no reason why she should have like emailed me back. But I was like, hi, my name is Victoria David John. I'm a QuestBridge match student here with Princeton University. I'm thinking about committing to Princeton. I would just like your input. Like, I don't really know. I don't have any funds to travel to this Grace Hopper conference. It's in Texas. Like, I have no way to get there. Like, I don't know how I would get there. And I know there's like these scholarships that you apply, but like the deadline has already passed. She emailed me back within 10 minutes. I'm pretty sure it was 8. Within like 8 minutes later, she emails me back, "Hi, Victoria, it's really great to hear from you. I'm so glad that a freshman is talking to me about this. I would be more than happy to fund you." Out of the blue. Like, the people, the faculty in Princeton will blow your mind. Like, I promise, they are some of the most encouraging, excited people on earth that I have ever met. And I've talked to a lot of faculty, and like, not to bash other colleges, but I've tried to I've tried to talk to other faculty, like, "Oh, how can I do research here?" And they're like, "Oh, well, you have to apply. There's this application online, and then you have to submit a proposal, and you have to go through this." There's so many loopholes, and here in Princeton, I've just found that, like, you want to do research, talk to your chemistry professor. That's what I did. Like, he was like, "Oh, I have this spot, like, open in my lab." And I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, "Yeah, I'd love for you to take it." And I was like, "Hey, all right." Like, Princeton will just open doors for you. It is incredible. You will have more opportunities than you will ever imagine. Like, the world is wide open and ready for you to take it on. And like I said, I'm only a freshman, so I can't wait for the next 4 years. And like, I can't even imagine what is next. I can't fathom the opportunities that will be, like, they will be handed to you. Like, your life, like Dallas said, is already changing, and it will change tremendously regardless if you choose Princeton. I really hope you do, because it's amazing. Like, you really should go Tigers. But like, your life will change. You guys are amazing people for getting this far, for doing all the things you have done, because I know, like, it's got to be out of this world. As far as like the community, the friends that I have found here are like no other. You will hear stories that will amaze you. You will have 2 a.m. conversations. You will have like walks beneath the stars, like with your friends, just talking about life. And it's really awesome. And you will be really tired the next day, but it will be worth it. And like, it's just like going around, walking like underneath East Pine, seeing the beautiful architecture, like exploring all 6 levels of Firestone. Like, it's just one of the most mind-blowing places to be, and you'll have so much help that you really don't know what to do with it. Like, you have so many advisors. You have like your residential college advisor, your peer academic advisor, your academic advisor, your director of studies, your director of student life. Like, I could, like, my 2 hands are not enough to count the number of advisors you have, but like, they're all here and they're all willing to help you, and you don't see that anywhere else. Like, I love this community, and I really encourage you to come here, visit, come talk to me. Like, Sonia, if you could send out my email for the students to reach us out. Yes, please reach out to me. I will talk to you over the phone. Like, I will tell you all about Princeton and why you should come here, because I really, really love this place. So yeah, but I'm really proud of all 42 of you. So yay, great job.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you so much, Dallas. You guys are amazing. It makes me feel like the admission office, see, we do a good job. You know? I was like, oh, heart, right? But to our QuestBridge matches, congratulations once again. We are so excited to welcome you to the great class of 2020. And for us admission officers, we're in the process of finding the rest of your classmates right now. So if you do email us, please don't be offended if it takes us a little bit longer to respond. We've got some files that we have to read, but I'm happy to also put you in contact with current students, and we have Victoria and Dallas who are willing, and as I mentioned, Kevin, who couldn't make it tonight, he's game for it too, and I'm sure there's lots of others I can find. But thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, but welcome to the Princeton family, and go Tigers.